All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Heya, heya. How you guys doing today? This is Euphony Mevia Shalom. Back to you with another video once again. Okay, so we are here, and we are starting with Genesis 5 today. You know, happy Shabbat first and foremost. And I want to throw some disclaimers out there before we get started. So, any video that I post, it's based off of not only just my research, but it's also based off of my perspective of reading the Torah and Tanakh. If you guys do have another or a different perspective than I do, I would love to hear it in the comments. But another disclaimer is that I am not down with any idol worship. I am not down with worshiping JC, Jesus Christ, or I'm not down worshiping Allah. I'm not down with worshiping any of those guys. I'm down with worshiping the Most High and Him alone. Okay? So if you come in with that energy, then you'll probably need to go to another channel, man, because this is the wrong channel for you. All right. So for my most high worshipers and my most high worshipers only, if you have different perspectives of what I'm about to get into, then I would love to hear it in the comments. Okay. So this is Genesis 5, and we're going to start with verse 1. Okay. Adam's descendants to Noah. All right. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. So as you guys see with verses 1 and 2, it just reaffirms that man was created in God's likeness, especially Adam, emphasizes their role, you know what I'm saying, as God's representatives. So this only just dates back to Genesis 1 and 2, where the Most High created man in his likeness. So let's keep going. Verse 3, and Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth. So as you can see in verse 3, it says after his image. Is he talking about God? No, he's talking about Adam. Why is that? It's because Seth is being highlighted, right, based off of him being born in Adam's image. All right. So this is dealing with Adam falling to a sinful state as a mortal, right? Inheriting the fallen state as opposed to Adam in his innocence, right? Who was created in God's image. So you could be able to see the distinction right there when it comes down to verses 1 through 3. So we're going to go to the lineages here, right? And let's see the genealogy of Seth. In the days of Adam, after he had begot Seth, were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And Seth lived in 105 years, Salakia, and begot Enos. And Seth lived after he begot Enos 807 years, and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enos lived 90 years, and begot Canaan. And Enos lived after he begot Canaan 815 years, and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. And Canaan lived 70 years, and begot Mahalaleel. And Canaan lived after he begot Mahalaleel 840 years, and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. And Mahalaleel lived 65 years, okay, and begot Jared. And Mahalaleel lived after he begot Jared 830 years, and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Mahalaleel were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived 162 years, and he begot Enoch. And Jared lived after he begot Enoch 800 years, and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. Okay, so as you can see from Seth to Jared, these verses highlight the passing of time and the inevitability of death, the phrase, and he died, as a consequence of Adam's sin. Okay, so we all know about Adam's sin already. When they fell to the sinful state, then eventually they were going to die. All right, and this is the repetition. This is the perpetual motion of generation after generation dying because of what Adam and Eve did in that garden. Okay, so let's keep going, right? And Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. And Enoch walked with God after he begot Methuselah 300 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Okay? So when it talks about Enoch walking with God and was taken by God, it indicates high righteousness, okay? High righteousness. So Enoch was on another level when it comes to him being a righteous person towards God. You see what I'm saying? And I know we do have like certain traditions to where, you know, they note about Enoch's being inconsistent and sometimes righteous and sometimes wicked. You know what I'm saying? And they believe that that type of balance is what made God took him early. You know what I'm saying? Throughout his lifetime. You can read this in the Midrashic tradition as well. You know what I'm saying? But I know there's different views out there. But I believe that this is based off of Enoch just being super righteous around the time of sin. You know what I'm saying? So this is just how I take it. The Most High wanted Enoch to, you know what I'm saying, know some things and walk with him. So Enoch decided to go with him. And so verse 25, and Methuselah lived in 187 years and begot Lamech. Okay. And it says, and Methuselah lived after he begot Lamech 782 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. Okay. So with Methuselah lived the longest, okay, showing God's patience, yet he still died before the flood. So as you can see, it says that, and Methuselah lived after he begot Lamech 782 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah were 969 years. Okay. So while Methuselah's ancestors was living, you know, on a decreasing level, Methuselah lived on an increasing level. See what I'm saying? Even though Methuselah eventually died, Methuselah's lifespan is just showing that God has patience with people. You know what I'm saying? That keeps calling to him. You know what I'm saying? That keeps turning back to him. So Methuselah might have been a righteous person throughout Methuselah's lifetime. You see? And that's what made Methuselah live long. So let's keep going with that. Verse 28. And Lamech lived in 182 years and begot a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, this same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord hath cursed. Okay. So when it comes down to Noah's birth, Lamech names his son Noah, right? Which means rest or comfort in Hebrew. If you go to H5146, it means rest, right? So we could see that that's true. All right. So when it comes down to Noah's name, right, it prophesies that he would bring relief from the curse of the ground brought by Adam's sin. So once Noah was born, right, we could be able to see in context that he was going to bring some relief, right, into that curse. Now, in verse 30, it says, and Lamech lived after he begot Noah 595 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old. And Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay. So right here in verse 32, we could be able to see that the author introduces Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? Focusing on the preservation of the righteous line, which is Shem. Okay. So we're going to see why Shem is the righteous line in later chapters, because Shem is considered, the Most High God is considered the God of Shem. So when it comes down to it, we could be able to see this line and we could be able to see certain contexts. But I want to actually do something fun. Okay. And that is me actually looking up all of these different names in Hebrew. Okay. And what they actually mean and if they correlate with one another. All right. So we're going to start with Adam, and with Adam, it means the name of the first man. OK, so we got that in context. Right. Let's see. Seth. This is H8352. It means put, that is substituted. OK, because Seth was a substitute for Abel. Now, if we go and keep going to the third person, it's Enos. Right. And it's actually pronounced Enosh or Enosh, a son of Seth, but also it means a mortal. Okay, a mortal, hence a man, right? So the root word is Enoshe. So we got Enos, and now let's go ahead and do Canaan, right? Canaan or Kenan, we could be able to see that the root word for Canaan is Cain, right? Which means a nest, a chamber or dwelling, a nest room, right? So I'm gonna definitely show you guys why I'm looking up all of these different names in a second, okay? So we got Mahalalel. Mahalalel means praise of God. It has two root words, right? It means fame, praise, and then it also means El, right? So I got two root words on it. Now, if we keep going, right, we're going to see Jared, H3382, and it means a descent, right? So we could be able to see that this definition, a descent, is for Jared. So let's see Enoch, right? Enoch, or Chanuk in Hebrew, means initiated. To get more context, right, it means to narrow, to initiate, or discipline, okay? Dedicate, train up, right, which is kanok, right, as the root word for kanoke in Hebrew. So let's keep going, right? We got Methuselah, right? Methuselah means man of a dart, okay? Man of a dart. Properly an adult is one of the root words, which is math. And then another root word means a missile of attack. So a weapon, right? That is spear, a shoot of growth. That is branch, dart, plant, put off, sword, weapon, okay? So we could do that. And also after Methuselah, we do got Lamech, right? So they decide to actually not give us a word for Lamech. So this is what we are going to do with that. We are going to go out. Lamech, Hebrew meaning. It means powerful, strong, or robust young man, right? Though some suggest to be low or even despairing. But we know for a fact that we're going to go with the highlighted instead of the unhighlighted, okay? But we could be able to use the unhighlighted. Never mind that. Let's use the unhighlighted too as an example. So to be low, despairing, or overcomer, mighty, youth, powerful, strong, right? So we can see it has something to do with power, right? Or descent. Let's see. After Lamech, we got Noah. We already looked up Noah. It means rest. And then after Noah, we could be able to see Shem, right? Shem means what? The name, right? The name. So we could do that. Ham means hot, right? And then also Japheth means expansion, right? To open, that is be roomy. All right. So expansion, you could be able to say enlarge, right? So if you put all of these different Hebrew definitions together, these different Hebrew names together, it creates a sentence, okay? And this sentence is definitely dealing with the Adam and Eve story, all right? And the sentence is, the first man substituted into mortality in a nest to praise God and fell. Through discipline as a weapon of humiliation, resting by the name of large heat, which is a metaphor for fire. And so we could be able to see that the Most High represents fire when it comes down to the burning bush, when it comes down to Exodus 20, when it comes down to him just speaking to us throughout the midst of the fire. We could see that the name of large heat, or the name of the fire, is the Most High's name. And with that being said, Shalom Barakas.